So I'm back with my book review for the week, and that is obviously this one. It's called The Memory Garden by Rachel Hall. And this is a book where I would honestly say don't judge a book by its cover, because I obviously bought this book because of its cover. Like, how beautiful is this cover? A beautiful dark blue around, it's got a nice sky blue here, it's got like a peach sunset going on, it fades into the cliffside where you've got like a garden and you've got a little house. I didn't get any of that from this book. I got generational trauma, I got poor decision making, I got a lot of adultery, I got a toxic men and toxic family. That's what I got from this book. So really, don't judge a book by its cover. And I don't mind the plot of it, but I expected a lot more to do with this cover, as in something with art, history, culture, even the World War, because this was said, like, some of the history of it was supposed to be during World War One, and I didn't get much of it. And I'm wondering, like, where was the memory garden part of it? Because I got like small accounts of it, like a couple of chapters, very handful of chapters about the past, and there's so much missing for me, because it suddenly went from the main character, Mel, whose life was uprooted in London, and she needed to kind of recuperate. So she went back into like a hiding state. She went to Cornwall, where she met Patrick. And together they started unearthing what is the memory garden. And pause. This memory garden is the size of a tennis court, apparently, which is quite big. And because it's quite big, there's got like heaps of features that I'm unable to place mentally. Like, there's a cottage, there's a main house, there's a greenhouse, there's a flower bed, there's vegetable patch, there's a shed, there's like a stable or whatever, things of that sort. And I'm like, Rachel, please include a map of it, because I'm unable to understand where all of these features are. So that's my only suggestion, is like adding a map to it, because it makes it a lot easier for the reader to kind of reference. Back to the main characters. Mel and Patrick hit it off straight away. Mel has already been betrayed by her previous boyfriend, which is why she's moved to Cornwall for a bit. And Patrick's also been betrayed by his previous fiance, and which is why he's moved here. And together they're unearthing what is the mysteries of this garden and the previous owners of it at Marin. And I wish there were more accounts of the previous, like the history of it, because there seems to be so much. And the way it was described, it was very minute. You got a few accounts of Pearl, who is the other half of this book. She should have been given a lot more importance, I think, than she was, because how much she contributed through her art, through the people around. Like, a lot of this was people that came through Pearl and Charles, and I didn't see any of that, which is actually really disappointing. What I did see was accounts of people that didn't really mean much in the book. And out of nowhere, like towards the last few chapters, the author kind of threw in more adultery and poor decision making on the part of Patrick, and a grown man decided he wanted to explore more, like if there's something else with his ex that was already like had run away with an affair over this new relationship, and that's just poor judgment, poor decision making. And what disappoints me more is that Mel, when she kind of like, she runs away, she goes into hiding as well, back into London, away from the whole situation, instead of confronting it head on. She goes and she's still waiting for him, waiting for Patrick, and Patrick finally like realizes his mistakes, and I'm just like, but why would you keep waiting? He's made his decision and it wasn't you. Like, why would you let someone show you twice that you want the first choice? Is that something you can live with, like being a second choice option, and like he chose you after all of those things? Don't even get me started on Mel's family, like the dad and his extracurricular activities, because disappointing. I expected more from the book based on its cover, a lot more history, culture, art, the garden. Just, I don't think it lived up to the hype of what this was, and this is deceiving because this ain't it. I didn't see any illicit affair that was grand. I saw the same combination of rich master, young servant girl, affair. I give it a 5.5, 6 out of 10. I think 6 is being a little generous. A 5.5. Now that I'm done with this one, I'm ready to move on to this one. And this is The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna. And I'm excited to start reading it. A bit of refreshment on my side. And this book is set in the early 1900s, so 1930s about, the Second World War. And it's supposed to be having great characters, great plots, great emotions, and it says, who could ask for more in a novel? I'm gonna hold whoever wrote that to it, and that was another author. So I'm gonna hold those authors accountable when I read this book. I want to see how I go. I'm a little cautious now after this book, The Memory Garden. Alright, so that's my review of this week's book, and I'll let you guys know how I go with this one. Stay tuned. Bye.